What's up guys, we're back for some slow motion commentary, this time in the gi. I slowed it down to half the speed so you can see easier. From here, Nikki takes the grip on my lapel, so I break the grip and I go right away to an arm drag. Keeping my shoulder in front of hers makes it so she can't come around and take my back. I start to move Nikki around, get some off balancing going, and I'm thinking about a hip throw, but instead go for the knee tap. My arm is initially on the outside of her leg, so I reposition it to the inside, establishing better control and nullifying the knee shield. From here, I'm feeling like I'm gonna get a little more resistance than I'd like, so I posture up and start passing from the outside, aiming to get some speed passing going. Nikki's doing a great job of controlling my grips, but I find the opening for this quick leg drag. Nikki tries to re-guard, but I take advantage of her hips being elevated and slide my knee into the opening between her knee and her elbow. I enter the truck position, which is basically the back, but with more emphasis on lower body control, with the twister, groin stretch, and calf slicer all available. I try to get the calf slicer, but Nikki's doing a great job of keeping her leg far away from me. I try to hook it with my other leg to bring it to me, but Nikki extends again and I have a hard time getting it. So I figure maybe if I go for more of a rolling back attack, I can reposition and get to a better finishing position. Which I do. I now have control of her leg, but she extends again. I no longer have that calf slicer. So from here, I'm thinking maybe I'll go for that twister, but I can't get that grip either. The groin stretch isn't quite there, so instead I just switch right to the back. I gotta shrimp out for better hip and leg positioning for the back. I don't have control of the collar, but I want to go to this bow and arrow position anyways, using the chair sit back take. Lately I've been enjoying going for arm bars and triangles from the back, so I make sure Nikki can't connect her hands before going for the arm bar. That way I don't have to worry about breaking grips. I never let her establish them in the first place. I don't have my right leg over her head, but it's not always needed. The angle of my body and left leg prevent Nikki from being able to come up, which would be the purpose of having the right leg over like a traditional arm bar. So we slap and bump again and assume very low stances and feel each other out. I give up the underhook to Nikki, which is something you shouldn't do. I do all the time because I can get away with a little more having a very counter wrestling style and confidence in my scrambles and ability to figure things out on the fly. I snatch up this head on the outside single, which is something I don't normally do in the gi, to be honest. Not that it's bad, I just find that there's a little more risk than in no gi. Nikki tries to elevate me, but I do some acrobatics. I use my right arm to clear the legs and establish side control. I let Nikki come onto her side so I can counter with a rolling back attack. I try to feed Nikki's right leg to my right leg using my left leg, but have difficulty. The roll still worked though, but wasn't as textbook perfectly executed. No big deal though, still got the job done. Really quick guys, I just want to say thank you for all the new subscribers, all the positive comments. I really appreciate them, we both do, and they just blow us away. So here I go back to the chair sit back take without the grip for the choking arm, but again I just want the arm bar. Nikki does a great job of sliding her shoulder away from my hips, making it very hard to get the arm deep enough to finish the arm bar. She eventually slides her hand out and I come up on top. As I come up, I maneuver my left leg in front of Nikki's legs, bypassing the guard. I backstep and see if I can snatch up the arm again. I find it and sit back for the armbar. You either need the leg over the head or control the leg to prevent people from rolling into you. That's why I grabbed the leg, because I didn't have my leg over her head. Once I get my leg over her head, I can let go of the leg, making it easier to break the grips for the armbar. I initially try to break the grip by pulling Nikki's hand down. Nikki's doing a good job of keeping tight grips, so I put my heels in her bicep and push my feet as I extend my back, making the grip break very powerful. I pinch my knees together very tightly and have like a rear naked choke style grip on her arm. Alternatively, I could grab the wrist with two hands. If you guys could let us know what type of content you'd like to see next, that really helps us out. We have a lot of great stuff planned and are always looking to add more to a list and figure out what to do first. So back to the stand-up, we're fighting for grips, and that's so important. That's what you have to do before you go for a takedown. You gotta make sure you get good grips, and I'm just blocking the hips because Nikki has that underhook. I gotta make sure she can't get her hips close to me to do like a hip throw or that inside trip like she tried to do. And from here, I grab her belt and I try to go for a hip throw of my own. Nikki does a good job of staying up, and I think for a second about going for an outside trip, but Nikki has too good a base at the moment, so I go for this front headlock position to the head on the outside single, but I don't have it very deep. You can see my shoulder kind of far away from Nikki's hip, and then I kind of land in this vulnerable position where she can take my back. I try to do a Granby roll to get out, but Nikki has too good a control, so instead I try to just circle myself back into close guard and work to stand up and pass. If you watch my how to get out of close guard video, this is very recognizable. When I stand up, I put my hands on Nikki's hips, bring my elbows to the inside, and work to push her down. Nikki tries to go for a double leg, but I recognize it, and I already have my hands on her hips, so she can't get it. I insert my left knee between Nikki's legs, entering my most effective and favorite mount entries, dope mount. I plan to do a detailed video on dope mount soon. The way I do it I think is an insane amount of control and no risk of getting leg locked. I progressed to a higher mount while forcing Nikki's elbows away from her body, making the S mount armbar a logical choice and there for the taking. I grab the leg again just to make sure she can't roll into me as I bring my leg over her head, and now I work to strip the grips. Sliding her hand down in the direction her grip is the weakest, I grab my lapel to reinforce the grip, extend my hips, and that's a wrap on the armbar. So we slap and bump again, we take grips, and now I go for a fake guard pull ankle pick. I bring my leg up to get Nikki to step, thinking I'm going for a guard pull, but then I switch to the ankle pick. Nikki grabs my ankle, putting me in reverse De La Hiva, and what I want to do is I want to strip the grip. So I lift up on the wrist and pull up, and then now I step back with a back step. I don't really keep my weight on Nikki here, making it possible for her to come up, and that's kind of how I roll with smaller people. Like, I allow openings rather than having my weight completely on them. Like, I rather have more of a flow and kind of more fun using only technique. With the belt grip, I land this hip throw, which can be a bit of a gamble as Nikki has the underhook and could possibly use it to get to her knees when she lands and start wrestling me down. I use my forearm to keep my weight on her and then switch to the overhook to prevent that. I feel like I'm not going to be able to backstep because of Nikki's active butterfly hook, so I square up more with her. I decide to posture up and work the backstep from here, pulling Nikki up and exposing her back in the process. Nikki recognizes this and scoots her butt forward to hide her back on the mat, preventing the back take. I think about coming around to north-south, but Nikki starts getting to her knees, so I decide to go around the other way. I'm being careful not to let Nikki re-guard me. I'm keeping her knees pinched together. Nikki's grip on my leg isn't a huge threat to me. If she was a lot bigger and stronger and an experienced wrestler, then it might be. Nikki turns away from me, exposing her back, and right away go for the chair sit back take, putting one hook in. I start controlling Nikki's grips as I put in the other hook, and now I want to pull down on the lapel and feed it to the other hand. It's really important that we feed the lapel to the other hand if we want to get a really tight grip for the choke. There's lots of options and different ways I could finish from here, like a traditional bow and arrow choke or different modifications, but I opt for this, I guess some people call it a zipper choke, I just call it a modified bow and arrow. So now we're back to grip fighting after a slap and bump, and Nikki takes a grip on my collar, and I don't want that, so I take two hands, I break the grip, and then I come around to take the back. It looks like Nikki recognizes she's in a bad position, and she chooses to try to pull guard. I recognize this and try to beat her hips coming all the way around before she can, so I can take her back. The battle is won and lost in the grip fight. I like to trap people's arms with my legs. If it's my two hands against their two hands, it's a tough battle. But if I can make it 2 against 1 or 2 against none, it increases my chances of success. Here I made it 2 against none, but I'm having trouble getting underneath the chin, so I let go of one grip and try to feed the lapel to the other hand. In the process, the kimura grip becomes available, and I switch to the armbar instead. The kimura seatbelt armbar is actually the first instructional me and Nikki did together. I try and extend the arm, but Nikki times dropping her elbow to the mat perfectly and escapes my armbar. I frame with my arm and shrimp out so that we can reset in a neutral position and not risk her coming up to a good position off the escape. Nikki starts working some passing, starting off with the knee slide, but feels she won't be able to get it. She does a great job hipping into me, forcing me to start working some guard retention. I could feel the clearing of my legs was inevitable, so I put my left foot on her to keep the distance, then invert while keeping control of her sleeve with my left arm. Because I have that grip, Nikki's unable to pull out, and I'm able to bring my leg over her arm and lock up the triangle. I have to shoulder walk because I'm so deep underneath her. Walking my shoulders out makes it impossible for her to stack me, and makes securing triangles 1,000 times easier, especially for people with short or thick legs. Alright, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you made it this far, please leave a comment or a fist bump. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm recommending our videos, as well as puts a big smile on our faces.